Hello and welcome to another episode of the Golden Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Mays. I'm here with FoxTailWhipz, aka Adam Harig.
How's it going? Yep, that's it.
Welcome to the show, Adam, and thanks for doing this so last minute.
Of course, thanks for having me on.
Dude, so it's been quite a wild 12 days for you, 2 weeks or so. FoxTailWhipz, whips with a Z at the end, is a channel that Adam operates. And it looks like you've been doing gear stuff for quite a while. I'm kind of doing a deep dive here. It looks like you've been making YouTube videos for a really long time, like almost 8 years now. But something happened in the last 2 weeks that I'm sure is quite exciting for you. Can you talk to me about, and by the way, you do have a video almost with 1 million views from 5 years ago, $100 eBay Turbo. I just looked that up. But what's really cool is a particular video has basically gotten up to the level of some of your top performers in only a week or 2 weeks. So, Adam, I saw this video, and if you're in the gear filmmaking niche, you may have also seen this video suggested to you. In fact, there's a high likelihood that the majority of our listeners right now, if you've been on YouTube in the last 2 weeks, have been suggested this video. So all that to lead up to Adam, what was the video that popped off in the last 2 weeks that's been really exciting for you?
Yeah, so it's a crazy one. I mean, it's been a crazy experience, but yeah, it's a video about I bought 5 broken Arri Alexas from eBay, and I've pretty much been working on just trying to repair them, seeing what I can do to fix them and get one of them going. Yeah, it has been a crazy past few weeks. I guess past month I've been working on it behind the scenes.
Well, yeah. So the title is I paid $12.50 for 5 broken Arri Alexa cinema cameras. Oh wait, no, that's the one from 7 days ago. The one from 3 weeks ago that really popped off is called I bought 5 broken Arri Alexa cinema cameras. Can I fix it? Brilliant title, brilliant concept. It's now sitting at 215,000 views. And I think this is really important for a lot of people who are in the YouTube filmmaking space, myself included, selfishly here, because it's a 30-minute video of you basically going through all these different cameras, almost kind of like a Mark Rober kind of style of just like being an engineer. You've got the workbench, you take them all out of the box, you look at them, you observe it. Tell me about the process of this. Was this like engineered to go viral? Was that your goal, or was this a happy accident for you and it's just a video that you've been wanting to do for a while? Just tell me about how you came up with this idea.
Yeah, so I pretty much cycle through cameras, honestly, like on a weekly basis. So I get stuff on eBay. I'll buy used cameras to make videos about, make reviews of, test. Then I'll sell them on eBay, buy other ones on eBay. That's kind of my cycle thing. So I was scrolling through eBay, and I've really been looking for an Arri Alexa for a long time now. They're just obviously ridiculously expensive. And I came across this listing on eBay. Just went searching through one day for Alexas, and just the pictures were just these stacked up like chunks of Alexas just sitting on this table. And at first I just looked through it. Once I realized what it actually was, I don't know, everything just kind of clicked in my brain. I will say the main thing I was thinking when I saw the listing was the video I could get out of it. I knew buying 5 broken Arri Alexas would just be, I don't know, I knew that was going to be just a golden opportunity for so much content. But also, obviously, yes. I mean, I've always wanted an Arri Alexa. It's pretty much the top tier when it comes to cinema cameras as it is. So it was pretty much already one of my dream cameras. And I've had some background, mostly when I was younger, but with electronics repair and stuff. So pretty much everything came together. My love for creating thumbnails and titles and trying to, really find that perfect video. My love for cameras and repairs and everything just pulled together. And, I wasn't sure at first. Actually, sorry, I dropped my headphone. I really wasn't sure about it at first. I kind of thought about it and, talked to my friends, talked to my girlfriend, there's a lot of money. The more I thought about it, I realized I could not pass this up. There was no way I was going to let this listing go. So yeah, that was where it started. So then I ended up actually messaging the seller, told him what I wanted to do, make a video about it, about trying to fix the cameras. And they ended up reaching out to me through email, and we kind of talked for a little bit. They really liked the idea of trying to fix them because obviously, who knows what would have happened to them otherwise. Maybe somebody would have used one of the parts and just scrapped the rest of them. So, I think, we talked about that and stuff and agreed on a price of $1,250, and that's kind of where it all started. And so, yeah, that was the big point where as soon as I got my hand, I knew they were on their way, getting shipped to me. I just kind of, went crazy researching everything, learning anything I could about them, and, kind of ended up where I started out in the first part of the video, unboxing them, seeing what they are, and just going at it, seeing what I could do.
That's incredible, dude. And what a great story too of like, ask and you shall receive, right? It's like if you see an opportunity, especially with a like a person, not just dealing with like B&H or Adorama. Like if you have like you did an eBay message that you could just send and kind of share the story and kind of get them on board, get them kind of sold on the idea, they were willing to work with you on a price. And that's awesome because obviously they could have probably sold them for more even though they're broken, but like because they knew you, they loved your idea, they went for it. So this is really crazy. And I think one of the reasons why this is so good for like just a YouTube video in general, forget the filmmaking niche, is like I'm kind of skipping through it as we're talking here. I'm just kind of like skipping around on the video. You can just see like the passion and the excitement in your face, like as all this is happening and as you get the box. And it's just something that every single human being can relate to. And when you start studying YouTube and seeing what works and why certain things work, it really does come down to, I keep hearing people say this, like creating for humans, not robots. Like even though the algorithm is a thing, don't create for the algorithm, create for humans. And the truth is almost every filmmaker or anybody who has any idea what, an Arri Alexa camera is, has dreamed of owning one. I mean, I also have considered buying one of these older ones because I think you can get what is it, like a classic now for like a working one is what, like 6,000 or
I
something.
think right around 5,000 to 6,000. Yeah.
Arri Alexa Classic, the LF, right? Is that what it's called, or the LT? Is that or
those
something?
are the more expensive ones? It's just the Alexa Classic is like their first digital one.
Yeah. Or the EV, right? Is that what
Yeah,
it's
the
called?
classic EV. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could buy a kit that's actually working, ready to shoot for 6,500, with an EVF and all that. Which I mean, for what it is, I mean that's actually kind of cool that you can, for only $6,000, the price of, my C500 or my C70. So forget the C500, that's 15,000, but for the price of a standard cinema camera, you can get an Arri Alexa, and it actually is the same sensor that they're still using technically, in up until the newest sensor, obviously that just came out. But there's obviously limitations; it's slower processing, all that stuff. But regardless, you can get a very beautiful image on a Arri Alexa. Plus, you look like a boss showing up on set with an Alexa. But it's just like this concept, this video that you did really taps into people's fantasies, really. And the idea that you could get one of these to work or one of them to work is the perfect retention tactic too. So it's like when it comes to coming up with ideas for YouTube videos, it's so hard, especially in our niche, to come up with a storyline that has a human connection. You did that with I'm buying 5 broken Arri Alexas. And then for me as a viewer, I'm literally like sitting there watching you unbox these and I'm anticipating that, like, please God, one of these please work, or whatever. Or in this case, you had to figure out things that were working and things that weren't. And it of course, it sets you up for a beautiful follow-up video, which you did, which also performed really well. So, I mean, am I on it here with some of this stuff? What are some of your takeaways from that first video, and what were the kind of things that you were thinking when you were editing the video and coming up with your thumbnail and title? I'm just curious the whole process, because I think you really nailed it on everything.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you were talking about emotion, that bringing out emotion in it and everything, and I think, that really ties into that video, because typically on my channel, it's mostly just get to the facts, get to the point, kind of make a video about a product. That's typically what I've always done, and it's worked. I have fun doing it. But with this video, I decided to show more emotion in it. More of myself, I guess you could say, rather than just a YouTuber. And, I don't know if that played into the fact of maybe people connected with the video more to make people watch it more. I guess I don't know how that works, but I definitely showed more emotion, in this, and more, connected, with the viewers, I guess, and just kind of being a lot more real to myself with this video versus what I've normally done. And I really, even in editing, I, besides, or rather than just cutting out, all the fluff in between and like, just getting to the point, I'm going to do this, do that, here's what I did here. I really made the decision there, even just to really show more of the realness of how I feel about everything, what I think and stuff like that. And, I feel like that might have been, one of the reasons people connected with it more, kind of, it makes it feel like you're the one holding the cameras as you're watching the video type of thing. But yeah, I think that's a great point. Just, it feels like the viewers are kind of a part of it with me, doing all that, along with me with fixing these cameras. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely put a lot more time and effort into this video, into just trying to make it, as exciting as, there's parts of drama in there. I kind of made it, probably a little bit corny, but kind of on purpose, in a purposeful way. Just make it a fun video to watch overall. I could have probably made it, on one end, made it a 10-minute video where, I bought these cameras, I do this, and do this. I got, this one doing this. Like, I could have either done that, or I could have gone the opposite way where, I really didn't edit anything and just film the whole process in a raw sense. I could have gone either way, but I'm pretty glad I decided to kind of stick right in the middle there. It shows more emotion than most of my videos, and kind of, a more real approach to how everything's going, but it's also not, just a fast-paced back to back to back. Here's the point. Here's this. That's yeah. That's about kind of my thought process going through the whole thing.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, I'm curious about the edit. It's 30 minutes roughly. It's 29 minutes and 11 seconds. What were your thoughts on that? Was that sorry if you can hear my kids screaming.
Oh, you're good.
My wife is putting the kids to sleep, and it sounds like they're fighting that concept a little bit. But yeah, like, was that pretty much as short as you could make it, with it being as feature rich as possible? Or, what were your thoughts on the length? Did you, like you said, you maybe could have cut things down, but, I don't feel like it really dragged either. So, when you were editing it, what was going through your mind when you started looking at the time code and like, oh, this is 30 minutes?
Yeah. You know what I mean? I think, obviously I definitely could have cut it down. and made it just sentence after sentence after sentence, just getting to the point. But I think, around that 30-minute mark, that was kind of the point where, that was like the perfect length for it, where there might have been a few spots that it was a little bit slow, but I think it kind of paced it out in terms of, really keeping the viewer engaged and kind of keep building the anticipation. Trying to keep people interested in the whole video, and being interested in watching, next part to it. I kind of left a cliffhanger at the end to, want people to want to come back to my channel and keep watching more videos about it, because obviously, that's really the reason I decided to split up into 2 parts as well. Is, I could have done both parts in one video as well, and could have, kind of made that all more concise and stuff like that. But I think, posting one part, building that anticipation, kind of getting people to know me, what I do in my channel, maybe they'll watch some other videos afterwards while they're waiting for that new part, almost like a TV show, waiting for the next episode. That was really my goal with this whole series, kind of just, keep people interested, make something that I'm going to be able to connect with my viewers more, and just something a little different than what I typically do on my channel. I think it really worked great. It kind of put me in a predicament moving forward, with my channel, but I don't know. I'm really happy with how everything's gone. The amount of support I've gotten on it is the most unreal thing I've ever experienced, honestly. So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah, I'm stoked for you, man. I mean, you've been crushing it on YouTube for a long time, but it's cool to, and you definitely have several videos that perform really well. But I think what's special about this one is that I think you're really tapping into a lot of the it seems like you've really figured out what works well on YouTube now in 2022, what the algorithm likes, but also what people like. It is kind of like, if I, were to compare it to what kind of like Ryan Trahan did with the Penny series, like he took kind of the high level YouTuber ideas of having an overarching story that's really epic, but then boiling it down to like a really simple and cheap thing. So that's what you did, is like you took the most epic cinema camera on the market, the Arri. Ironically, Red makes a camera called Epic, but the Arri Alexa is the most epic camera in the industry. It's the most unobtainable camera to everybody, but you found a way to basically have it for $1,200. But you have to work for it and get one of them to work. Basically, it's just a brilliant, like, overarching story. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you next, is like, now what? So it's like, you've done episode 1, episode 2, like, what are your plans for your channel? And do you have any, if not, maybe we could brainstorm together, because I have a couple ideas.
Yeah. Real quick, just what you're talking about, Ryan Trahan, his like Penny series.
Yeah.
Do you watch Colin and Samir? Do you know?
Of course. Yeah.
I think it was on their video. They were talking about, there's like the Mr. Beast where, you do this crazy expensive stuff, and obviously everybody wants to see like all the expensive stuff, giving somebody $1 million. But then there's what Ryan Trahan, did in that series, and he does a lot actually, is the complete opposite, where it's living at the cheapest Airbnb for a night, like living on a penny for 30 days. And those two extremes, I think, are like, they're almost identical in terms of the most viral, like most, what people want to watch type of stuff. And that's kind of what I've based my channel around, is like the total opposite. And I think the Arri Alexa video kind of ties into that, in terms of, I've made videos about the best camera under $100, which, it's hard to think about a good like DSLR mirrorless camera under $100. Or, I've made a video about a $60 camera. So I'm kind of trying to niche down to that almost like the Ryan Trahan type of videos where it's, kind of a crazy video, like doing something crazy, except it's with the total opposite of like, you talk about the new Arri camera that's $80,000. There's probably people making videos, this new $80,000 camera, and everybody wants to see that obviously because it's awesome, it's new, it's expensive. But I really took the approach of the complete opposite in terms of the cheapest possible, gear to do this, or like the best possible option for this super low of a price, where I think it has its own niche that isn't really occupied right now. And that's really what I'm trying to push into. And so, kind of talking about what my plans are now, obviously fixing stuff isn't what I've ever done on my channel before. And it's not something that I can't say it's not something that I don't plan to move into. I think it's awesome. And I love obviously saving, repairing stuff and saving stuff from, being scrapped like I did with the Arri Alexas. But, I really plan on just doubling down on the first half of the Arri Alexa video, which is just, the low budget price point type of stuff. Actually, I have it right behind me. I bought the cheapest Red Cinema camera as well. So I'm actually, I'm working on a video about that to kind of follow up with the Arri video. It's not have to do with repairing stuff, and that's a little bit what I'm worried about, because I gained so much inspiration from TronicsFix, who's a YouTuber that I've been watching for years, but he repairs cell phones and video game systems and stuff. And I don't. I loved the Arri Alexa video, and I'd love to do more of that, but I don't want everyone that's new from that video to think that that's what my channel is and what it's going to be, is repairing stuff. And so that's kind of what I'm worried about with this. Just what the future of my channel will be like, and people that came from the Arri Alexa video, what are they going to be interested in watching? That's something I have yet to figure out, because I actually haven't posted a new video since the series yet. So I really don't know, what's going to happen to my channel from now on if I go back to the videos I've been making. But yeah, I guess, really to answer your question, what the plan is, it's really to, I guess it's going to continue what I've kind of been doing, which is really niching in that budget camera gear, section, trying to help people get the most value they can, on a really low budget. Because, people that aren't really in the YouTube space, like both of us are, most people aren't going to spend even $1,000 on a camera. Like, that's just not feasible for most people. They don't want to put that much money into something that they're just going to use, as a hobby and stuff like that. So I think it's really important to show what's out there, for those really, really low budget price points that YouTubers really typically don't make videos about. A lot of people mainly focus on the new expensive stuff. So that's kind of my plan. That's my channel mission, I guess you could say, is just sticking with helping everyone find the best gear they can for the lowest price possible. That's kind of what I've done and what I plan on continue to do.
I love that. Well, I have a follow up to that question. Then, do you see yourself as a filmmaker or a YouTuber? And what are your long term goals? Do you want to be a filmmaker, or do you want to be making YouTube videos and have a successful YouTube channel, or both?
That's a tough one. I would say I'm a YouTuber, and I say that because one of my favorite things is just numbers, and I don't know how to explain it. It's like creating content and like all the behind the scenes stuff, building the thumbnails for it, figuring out the perfect title, kind of, I don't know, just content creation in general. I just love every part of it, all the behind the scenes stuff, the marketing side of it, all of that stuff really interests me. more personally than the craft of filmmaking. I don't want to say that like I'm not into filmmaking and I don't like, because I think it would be awesome. I've always wanted to create a documentary and stuff like that. But I think really my love for creating content is creating YouTube videos for people to watch, to teach people, to help people
Yeah.
learn and stuff like that, and really all the stuff behind the scenes that comes with creating content for not just YouTube, but just creating social media content in general is really where my passion's at right now.
Same here, dude. I don't know when I think when I got bit with the YouTube bug about 4 or 5 years ago, when I started uh, working for Kinotika, that was when I just completely fell in love with it as well. And I have a background as a performer. I was a magician for several years before I did any video. So it was the perfect marriage of my two skills that I developed over a decade of being a professional, filmmaker, and then 6 years of being a professional illusionist. And so those two combined, and it was like a marriage made in heaven. I've been in love with it ever since. I don't know about you, but um, I don't know if you knew, I worked for a company called Indie Mogul. I hosted that channel for about 5 months.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty big channel. And that was obviously like, I had no part of, that channel success necessarily. They just hired me to take over. And it didn't work out, mostly because I just didn't want to live in California. I wanted to move back to Tennessee, where I'm from, to be near my family and to give my kids a better life than living in the city in an apartment, So, but I did learn that the industry and the like Hollywood kind of film industry stuff, like there are some people that understand the YouTube thing, and obviously look at Corridor Digital. They've been crushing it with Corridor Crew. Um, all those guys there are incredible. But I felt like there was just so much friction, and like it was a lot of people that just didn't understand the YouTube thing in Hollywood. And I just kept feeling like there's a problem here. Like I guess I shouldn't be in this niche at all, because I'm just getting so much friction from people who watch my videos, because I was being really goofy and I was trying to do things that I was seeing was working on YouTube, but applying it to our niche, and it wasn't working because it was a little bit too probably immature for the audience, because the audience is a bunch of like mid 20s to like late 40s males. So it's like, it's mostly dudes and they're middle aged or, young 20s or so. And it was like really hard for me, because I want to be a YouTuber and I want to build a large channel and pull in big numbers. Because if you can bring in good views and you can do big things, then you can have more budget to play with and do fun, crazy, epic things and inspire people and employ people and have, do things that have never been done before. And, but over the last couple of months, I've really fallen in love again with the niche. And I've realized that there's actually a much wider demographic than I realized. I was just too focused on the tiny little niche of the gear specifics. So it's like, talking about a Fuji camera. Like most normal people don't know what a Fuji camera is, or Olympus, especially for me. I was an Olympus guy. Nobody in the normal world would ever own or use an Olympus camera. So making an entire video about something that's so hyper niche, like obviously generates an audience of hyper niche people, which is cool. It's really fun to be around those people. But I realized I'm never going to get 1 million views, no matter how much time I spend on a review of a new DJI gimbal thing. No matter how much time I spend on it, like even if it's literally the best YouTube video ever made, because the product itself is so niche, then there's just a small pool of people who would find it interesting at all. But if you zoom out from that niche and you think about filmmaking in general and movies in general, the feelings and the emotions that people have when it comes to watching movies, the allure of the Oscars and actors and directors and the whole story and narrative writing process. There's way more people in that pool of the niche, if you will. And so that's what I'm trying to hit now, is like to kind of zoom out. And I think you tapped into a little bit of that. It still was very niche in that, you know, not everybody knows what the Arri Alexa is, but there are a lot of people who know what the Arri Alexa is, and the people who maybe have sort of heard of it probably would watch that video too. And so I think what happened was, you know, your older videos are about a certain camera or a certain, you know, Black Magic, this or that, and those do have their nice pools of people, but like you really tapped into the filmmaking genre a little bit. It's a bit of a wider net with this Alexa thing, and again, it's such an appealing camera. So I'm saying all that to say, like, I bet you could, this is just me spitballing, but you could expand into like more filmmaking generalities, or if you wanted to stay in the budget thing, doing a kind of more YouTuber idea of like, I traveled to every Best Buy in the country and bought, you know, an M50 at every store, you know, or whatever. So you buy an M50 from one store in one state, and then you return it at another Best Buy in another state, and then you just do it over again. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just kind of going on a tangent here, but I do think that there's room for creators to experiment in different niches. I go between the two, and start thinking about how you can expand it, because you've built a really solid foundation of, you know, you've got 50,000 subs now. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
And and again, you've been making content for several years now, and you've had a couple of them do really well, hundreds of thousands of views, and so the algorithm has put you in a bucket at this point, but you really tapped into something that has a much wider audience. And I can tell by just talking to you that you were very thoughtful about that. And, you know, I agree with you. I'm completely hooked on the YouTube thing. The fact that I don't have any barrier between me and the audience, there's no producers, there's no clients other than sponsors, but they're essentially helping pay for things. They don't necessarily dictate the content. It's really a wonderful place to be if you're a creator and you don't like dealing with authority. So, but yeah, I'm real excited for you. And I think there's a lot of potential here with, you could just do more Arri Alexa stuff. You could, you know, take the one that you know, have and shoot something on it, or give it to somebody to use on a project and see how they like it. And I don't know, you could do all sorts of different things with it, but I totally am with you on the whole YouTube thing for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, kind of what you're talking about, like niches in general, and just expanding it out and experimenting, I think is the most important thing. I've been making YouTube videos, not on this channel, but I've probably had 7 or 8 other channels. And I've been making YouTube videos.
Oh, wow.
Since 2011, which is
Wow.
more than half
10 years?
of my life that I've been making YouTube videos. And I've literally done probably everything. I mean, you know, like I've on this channel alone, FoxTailWhipz, I started out in 2015 making dirt bike videos because I've always been into dirt bikes. You know, then I've always been into cars too, so I switched into making videos about cars and stuff. Then I switched into, I don't even know what else, just, you know, all this stuff, just trying out different niches essentially. And just different, you know, obviously they're all my hobbies as well. You know, because you gotta have fun making your videos too. So I really just tried making videos about every single one of my hobbies throughout the years. I mean, it really started, my first ever YouTube video was a stop motion video, because I used to do stop motion when I was, you know, 10 and 11 years old.
That's awesome.
And then, you know, obviously it really kicked off once I started making camera videos, and, you know, in 2020, I think, or 2019. And that's kind of when I it started to pick up, and that's when I realized I should stick to that. And I like cameras, I like filmmaking. I've been making, skits and stuff since the beginning, since 2010 when I was 10 years old. So, it kind of all hit right there too. And, you know, most of my channel was always niched down. Um, even some of the videos that have taken off, it's still like best settings for the Sony A6000 or, A6400 review or, review of this specific camera or something like that. And they do great still, relatively speaking, I guess you could say. They get views and, I've gained a fan base from those. But kind of like what you're talking about, making a video about one specific camera or one specific thing, there's only so much that you can actually grow from that. There's only so many people that want to watch videos about that exact camera, on the internet. So opening up and experimenting and trying new niches and really expanding, I think was one of the best things that I tried to do. I think it, even just before the Alexa video, kind of making that switch from best settings for this camera, review of this camera, switching from that type of stuff, which I still love to do and I still do and will do, but opening up to a broader range. Like, I don't know the exact titles of some of my videos, but $100 camera versus $3,500 camera, which one's better? Or the best camera under, $500. Everyone that's into cameras, you still have to be into cameras, but everyone that's into cameras, which hundreds of millions of people probably in the world, so I don't really have to worry about, maxing out that niche, is going to be interested in that video. It doesn't matter if you like Sony, Panasonic, Canon. If you are only into this exact brand, um, seeing what's the best camera under this price point, or what's the best camera that can do 4K video, I don't know, something like that. It really just opens it up so much more than a review of this exact camera. And I think, for everybody that, if anybody's watching this that's making YouTube videos and it's a content creator, I think it's just such a great idea to just try to expand a little bit, see what you can do to bring in a broader audience, rather than just sticking to what you know. I think it's so important, and it's really what has helped my channel grow as fast as it has in the last 6 months, probably. Prior to the Arri Alexa video, that obviously is what really went crazy. But prior to that is when I did start making more open-ended videos that a broader audience will hopefully be into. And I think that's kind of the turning point where I realized there's way more growth to be out there. I thought I was really happy, with how everything was going, but I didn't realize, the much broader audience that there is out there that I could bring in, while still obviously doing what I like to do. I'm not ever gonna make a video about something that I hate just because I want it to get a million views. So yeah, I guess what I'm getting at, I think it's really important to, open up a little bit, broaden what you make videos about, and at least experiment. I think that's the most important thing for really any content creator.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Gerald Undun's review of the banana this week, but did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
I think that's a great example of just kind of experimenting and, expanding yourself out. I think, I mean, let me see. What did that do? I think it did pretty well. Gerald already kind of has a quirky personality, so
Gerald's awesome.
People seem to like
it. He's one of like, oh my, got my AirPod again. He is one of like my favorite camera YouTube, probably one of my favorite YouTubers at the moment. He is so awesome.
The banana video has about as many views as some of his other videos have. So
yeah, no, I think it's awesome that he has always kind of stuck with the same thing, the same type of videos that he's always done, it seems like he's always stuck to, which are like the fantastic videos, amazing videos. But I have noticed that, he has done more quirky stuff like that. A few months ago he did a video about this camera. I don't know, it was like a fake camera, and it was just this quirky video, kind of like the
Yeah.
banana one. I think it's awesome that he's, doing that, because
Yeah.
obviously it shows that he's just doing what he wants to do as a creator, which is, I think, so important to, stay healthy
Totally.
in the space and not burn yourself out. I think it's awesome that he's just kind of doing fun stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's awesome.
100%. Yeah, I've talked to him before on the podcast and good friends with him, and he's struggled with the fact that he has, he is in a very hyper niche market of just being a total, he knows everything about every camera and just does so much research on it. Um, but I think he could probably expand that out if he wanted to start other channels. If he just kept everything the exact same and did the same amount of research and the same amount of shooting for phones, I think it'd be huge. Because his personality and his level of research and understanding on things in a phone market would probably perform really well. But he may not want to do that. That's the thing, though. So I think at the end of the day, you want to always stick to, like you said, you don't want to just do something because you know it'll get views. You want to do it because you love it, because this is a choice to be a creator, be self-employed, and it's something that you're going to spend a lot of time doing. So might as well make it fun. And just again, coming back to what we were saying at the beginning, your video, the level of excitement and energy that you had on camera shines through the lens, and you can feel the authenticity of it. I think that's one of the secret parts of some of the biggest YouTubers is having things that are authentic and capturing authentic moments, almost intentionally designing things to happen so that people have authentic reactions. In Mr. Beast's case, he knows how everything's going to play out in his head pretty much in terms of the scripting. He doesn't necessarily know how it's going to turn out, but like the people involved, the contestants are experiencing real emotions, and that's what we connect to as an audience, is seeing those emotions and those feelings happening. I mean, obviously, look at reality television and as a rubric. I mean, a lot of those shows put people in really uncomfortable situations on purpose so that you can capture those raw moments. It's not reality in the sense that like these things actually happen in reality, but it is real in that it's unscripted content. They're setting things up and maybe kind of nudging people to do a certain thing, but it still is authentic and real. And so if there's any way you can create that again with your channel moving forward, I think these last two videos show you that that people respond to that on your channel. So I would encourage you to, it's going to take a lot of time and effort to try to come up with another one, but hopefully you've learned some things with this last video. I mean, what are some of the things that you've learned in the last 3 weeks of doing this series?
Man, I mean, I've definitely learned that really showing more of, the emotion, expressing that sort of thing is really important. But, it's something that there's really, the two types of, people, like at least in the camera niche. Like for me, it's always, I'm not that much of a talker. I'm not very charismatic, so that's why I've kind of went with the route of, these are the specs. Here's a review of this camera. This is all the information, because I'm not I'm not charismatic. Like, you see Potato Jet. His videos are just amazing. He's so, all the time he's happy. He just, expresses everything he feels. He's like, it's like you're there with him. It's almost like he's vlogging while doing this camera review. He's just always so happy, so like wholesome, everything like that. And then he just kind of has that factor to him. And I think for me, because I'm always just been so shy, so never talking, to anybody, never talking that much, it's always been easier for me to just uh, talk to the camera about, the statistics and the numbers and that sort of thing without showing um, as much emotion. It's kind of something I struggle with, and I think just after seeing what happened with those videos when I did open up in that way, um, I think that's definitely something I learned. Storytelling is just another hugely important part of YouTube videos.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know. I think it really does separate it, because there is that niche of going back to Gerald and Dunn. He gets the information out. He does a ridiculous amount of research, and he tells you everything you need to know about this certain thing, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. But I think the opposite approach of showing, being more storytelling centric and emotional, and the ups and downs and stuff, I think just is the extra step to help people feel more engaged, with content. That's the biggest thing I think I've learned. And obviously this is the first time I've ever really done that on my channel, and it kind of shows. So, I think I really learned that it's important to create a story out of a video rather than just creating a video. That's the biggest thing I'd say.
Dude, 100%. And I think it's so hard to create a story around a piece of gear. Yeah. And I think it's also because we've just been, I'll just say it for myself. I reviewed hundreds of cameras. I've done hundreds of these videos over the last 5 years. And it was about 5 years ago, there was less people doing it. And it's pretty easy to just kind of buy a camera, open it up, and review it. And thankfully, I started 5 years ago when there were less people doing it. And so I may have had a little bit of an advantage because I was earlier than most people. But I also was doing quirky stuff in my own style. And that's the thing, that every single person has their own unique style. So never think to yourself like, oh, there's a bunch of people doing camera reviews, I'm not going to do any. Because the truth is there's nobody like you. And so no matter how hard somebody else tries, nobody's going to do it like you could. So just embrace your own personality and your own uniqueness. And that takes time to figure out what that is, even sometimes, because you can be so influenced by other creators. When you think of like, oh, I'm going to start a channel, you just copy what Peter McKinnon does. And then now you're just another copy of Peter McKinnon. But it just takes time and repetition to find your own thing. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I've been coughing a lot. I've been blowing my nose. I got stung by about 4 different yellow jackets today, hornets. And I got stung right on the tip of my nose. And you probably can't see in the video, but I have like 2 or 3 different sting bumps on my nose. My nose got really swollen. And so I've been kind of coughing, and like I've been having to blow my nose a little bit today because like the stings went into my nose and it kind of like numbed my nose. So like snot is just kind of coming down. And so sorry about that.
These are the worst.
Dude, it was insane. I was picking up a chair outside that was on the porch, and there was an entire wasp. It's yellow jackets, which are kind of like wasps. There was a nest of them underneath the chair. And when I lifted the chair up, I lifted it up by the legs because it was just like a plastic, kind of outside chair. And I picked it up and I literally saw with my eyes the nest. And as I saw, it was like slow motion. I just saw like 4 or 5 of these things coming at my face. And 2 of them hit me in the nose, and I had a couple that hit my leg, and I threw the chair and started like running away. It was pretty crazy. And I laid on the couch for about an hour with an ice pack on my nose. And then here we are doing a podcast. That's how much I care about you guys. I'm showing up here on the podcast with bee sting nose. All that to say,
I think you all need to go subscribe right now because of that. It shows your dedication.
Yeah, there you go. All that to say, like, it is fairly easy now to just buy a camera and talk about it and just make a video. And there's nothing wrong with that, and everybody can do their own version of it. But the truth is that the views are getting spread so thin because it's already a small niche to begin with. So you add more guys that are making videos about the same things, and you spread that out over a sea of hundreds of creators, and only, you know, 1 million or 2 million people in that audience to begin with. It just, you know, certain creators have their own pockets of fans that like their certain personality or a certain camera manufacturer or whatever. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. You can actually probably make a decent living on a moderately sized YouTube channel. But I was like, I feel like I've reached a ceiling here because with Indie Mogul having a channel over 1.4 million subs or whatever, and being able to, you know, be at that level, it was kind of like, where else do you go from here? Like, this is as big as it can get. And the numbers weren't crazy high. And even if you look at McKinnon right now, he's got what, 6 million subscribers, which is insane, by the way. Congrats to
Massive.
Peter. Yeah, so Peter McKinnon, he has 5.76 million, so almost 6 million subscribers. And your video has more views than his latest video. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, even so he's averaging about 226,000 views per video. Every single video has roughly, I mean, he has one from 2 weeks ago that only has 128,000. And obviously to us, like, dude, if I was averaging 300K or 200K a video, that's like a win in my book, right? But for a channel with 6 million subscribers, I think that's very peculiar. I think that's interesting because if you look up Danny Gonzalez, who has he has slightly less subscribers, he's a comedy YouTuber. He's averaging 3 to 4 million views per video, which is a more normal ratio when it comes to big creators. When you have a creator with 6 million subs, chances are he or she is getting at least 1 million or more, because of the amount of reach that channel has from a subscriber pool. So I think it's fascinating that your channel with 50,000 subs has the same views as Peter McKinnon with 6 million subs. And so I think that the entire niche needs to be rethought and reimagined for the modern day. I think what you've done is exactly that. Imagine if Peter McKinnon did what you did, that would be a 2 million viewed video probably.
Yeah.
Know? Because he would have the reach to kind of have that jumping off point that would have taken it off even further. So I think creators need to start just thinking more creatively the way that you did, and think about the story, think about the overall message. A video that I clicked on of his recently is like, I mean, it didn't perform crazy well, I guess, but it was the one about the Canon IBIS. Like, Canon finally fixed this. And I watched his video on that because the question is like, well, what did they fix? And I'm like, oh, it's probably I was already playing it out in my head before I clicked on the video. I'm like, oh, they probably fixed either the overheating or the IBIS or something. And sure enough, they tried to fix the IBIS. The problem is that they didn't. It still looks terrible compared to Sony and other companies. Don't get me started on that. But anyways, I just think it's important for all of us, no matter what niche you're in, to really think about things differently, and to look at the big creators like Ryan, like Mr. Beast, like Eric, like all the kind of big guys, and see how you can fold that into your content somehow, even if you're doing smaller stuff like a phone review or a camera review. Because I think there's so much that is still to be explored with our niche in general. And for me, I've been experimenting with it, and the last video I did, I tried to kind of tell a little bit more of a story, and it performed fairly well for me. I'm really excited about my next video that I've been working on the last couple of weeks. It's called "Making 100 Movies in 24 Hours," so that'll be really fun. So
sounds awesome.
Just yeah. So I'm just trying to think about things differently as well, but still play to the audience a little bit. Like, it's still using gear, and I'll still be talking about nerdy stuff, so people will still find it interesting. But then, the idea and the concept is hopefully interesting enough that maybe a larger demographic of people will find it. Because for me, as a creator in this space for the last 5 years, I felt like whether I hit the ceiling or not, it didn't matter. It's like I just saw a ceiling when I started looking at other creators and looking at their numbers. And it's like everybody seems to kind of hit around. Like, if you're doing really well, Maddie, Kai W, Potato Jet, they're all kind of sitting around like 900,000 or a million subs, which is no small feat, obviously. But they're not getting a million views per video at all. But I feel like there's a way to get 1 million views per video in the filmmaking niche. And the only channel that I know of that's doing that week over week is Corridor. And it's because they're telling stories with every video, and they're setting up games, and they're challenging each other, and they're doing interesting things, and they're really just telling great stories with every video. So that's the only channel that I know of that's pulling 1 million views per video in our niche.
Yeah, I think yeah, kind of, I mean, what you were talking about, I think the filmmaking niche, however you say that, the filmmaking niche.
Yeah, no, I can't say it correctly.
Yeah. Same with Arri and Ari. I'm really not sure which one's the right one. But
I know, I think you're supposed to say Ari, but I think in the latest Arri Alexa 65 video, like the guy who's in the video who works for Arri called it Ari. So it's like, what do we call it? Even the guy who works there is confusing us,
tomato, whatever. It is what it is.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, what you're talking about, like, I think the only way to really expand the filmmaking niche, and get people that aren't specifically camera nerds, interested in the newest camera and that sort of thing, is to do stuff like all these other crazy viral YouTubers used to do, the Mr. Beast, the Airax, where you like obviously tell a story with it, get people intrigued, even if they don't even know what this camera is. If you can get them intrigued with it, with either the storyline or the title or the thumbnail, just bringing in people that aren't from that base audience. Like, I guess I don't really have any actual title examples, but the videos that are like, obviously, like comparing something crazy expensive versus something, really budget. Everybody likes to see that stuff, even if there's could be something that I really have never thought about in my life and I don't really care about, just some random niche. But if someone makes a video, $10,000, insert whatever it is versus $1, that brings everybody in, because it's just like, oh, I wonder what the difference is, and all like the videos I typically see go crazy viral from camera YouTubers are, kind of similar stuff that don't have to like cameras to say, I wonder what this video is about, like Potato Jet, huge inspiration. He made buying the Arri Alexa camera on the internet. He made that a few years ago. It has like 1 point something million views. It outperformed, I'm sure, especially what he was pulling in terms of views, when that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because it's just interesting. I mean, who doesn't want to see the cheapest? It's like, I bought the cheapest Lamborghini in the world. It doesn't matter if you're not into cars. That just sounds interesting. Or I bought the most expensive. Yeah. So I think that doing those weird, crazy things that it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter that it's about a camera. Just stuff that
Yeah.
people just find interesting. I think that's the way that the camera niche needs to grow. I can't say needs to because obviously everyone can do whatever they want. I think that is the best way that we can
Yeah, it's
expand our niche, to a way, way, way broader
totally.
market.
And yeah, I don't think people who are content doing the review. Here's the problem. If you want to say the problem with our niche, I don't think it's a problem. It's just a fact. Almost everybody who is a YouTuber in the camera gear space is a professional filmmaker or photographer to begin with. So like they're making money shooting weddings, shooting real estate, doing whatever. And because they know how to make videos, they can make a YouTube channel very easily because they already have all the gear. They know how to light things. They know, like, people hire people like us to make YouTube channels because they don't know how to do it. So it's like, obviously there's like way more creators than uh viewers ratio than probably most niches, because typically the barrier of entry to become a YouTuber, depending on what hobby you're into, is learning how to be an editor and how to be a shooter. But ironically, in our particular niche, we all know how to do that. So it's like, there's the kind of balance is a little off in terms of like a lot of creators and not a ton of viewers. So therefore, all the views are a little bit lower than other niches when you compare it to like a comedy or an entertainment channel. But that being said, camera gear and tech has some of the highest CPM in terms of like YouTube paying out, because obviously 10,000 viewers of a C70 video are more expensive viewers because they're people who are going to buy a $5,000 camera. So companies are going to pay more money to put an ad in front of my video about the C70 because they know the viewers of that product potentially have more money. Whereas a video gamer who's doing Minecraft maybe gets 1 million views and might literally make as much money as I make, because it's just a bunch of kids that don't have any money that are watching that video,
Right.
So it's all like, what do you want to do and why? Like, are you doing it to make money? Then first off, maybe check out your priorities, make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, not just to make money. But if you just want to make money and you're happy talking about gear, keep going, because if you can chug along and do that, you can make pretty good money talking about gear, because there's affiliate sales, there's ad revenue, and there's sponsorships, and all those things combined can make a pretty good living. But if you want to get views and have like make a big change and make a big difference and make a big splash, either get into a different niche or try to figure out how to expand it, which is exactly what I'm personally trying to do desperately. So, not for any selfish reason. It's really just because I just love the process so much, and I feel like there's something missing right now in our niche that I really want to see done, and so I'm just trying to do it myself, and that is truly making entertaining YouTube first filmmaking content. So it's like stuff that I know will work well on YouTube, that will generate a thriving audience of people, and will allow me to use budget to go towards really cool ideas, that just basically doing things that have never been done before. That's kind of the dream. But anyways, and that's why I want to talk to you, because I feel like you get it and you definitely are on that track. And what you just did with this video series, in my opinion, is exactly the right move for this current generation of YouTube. And I just wanted to meet you and say congrats, and everybody should definitely go check out Adam's channel. We'll link it in the show in the show notes, but you can check him out. Where is it? How do I spell it again?
FoxTailWhipz with a Z.
FoxTailWhipz with a Z.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. FoxTailWhipz. So yeah, what's the origin of that name?
Yeah, so One of my other channels is probably 2013, 2012 or 2013 when I started it, was called The Foxtail Gamer. And it ended up, it's not even there anymore. Someone like reported every single video on it for no reason. I got deleted. But maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly, because then I started this channel. But I really don't know where I came up with that from. There's definitely not some meaning behind it, like some background meaning behind it. I just thought the Foxtail Gamer was cool. I made gaming videos, I like foxes. So I kind of just did that, and then that channel ended up getting deleted, and I created this channel and kind of just decided to stick with the same name, with Fox, and then TailWhipz kind of had to do with dirt bikes, like tail whipping, on dirt bikes, because that was originally videos that I made on this channel. So yeah, there's really no deep meaning behind it. It's just kind of, what I made it as back in 2015, and it's just stuck with me ever since. So nothing crazy there. Nothing crazy with the whole naming behind it, really.
That's amazing. And it was, I'm curious, was FoxTailWhipz with an S taken, and that's why he did a Z, or were you just trying to be cheeky?
No, I think it was taken, because I definitely wouldn't have done that. It makes it more difficult to even, to find, because you say FoxTailWhipz and then you search with an S, and, I don't know if it'll come up like that. But yeah, it definitely was just taken, so I had to go with the Z instead.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, I loved this conversation. We could probably talk for another hour, but it's been about an hour, and I just wanted to say again, thank you for coming on so last minute and for talking about your series. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out the Arri Alexa series and all the other videos from FoxTailWhipz. We'll put a link in the show notes below and in the description. Adam, it was a pleasure meeting you and talking YouTube with you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm going to put some ice on my nose and go to sleep.
Good idea.
Take some Benadryl.
Good idea.